We're going to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you give the roll call, please?
Councilmember Newton.
Here.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Here.
Councilmember Grummeyer.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bash.
Yes.
Mayor Hanna.
Here.
Thank you. All present.
Okay, now we will recess to closed session to consider the following matters. S54956, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 2 cases. Okay, we're going to convene to a closed session right at the moment. Okay, I'll call the regular meeting to the Norco City Council to order, and get my papers right over here. We'll take the report from actions taken in the closed session by the city attorney.
Yes, the City Council considered in closed session the items listed on the closed session agenda, which were 2 cases of anticipated litigation, and there are no reportable actions.
Thank you, John. Before we start the regular business, I want to read this to our citizens. To my fellow Norconians, our community, just like the cities and towns all across America, is facing a very challenging period with the coronavirus. Many of our residents, especially senior citizens, feel uncertain or afraid, and we have families worried, not only about their physical health, but about their finances and essential needs as well. These are challenging, unprecedented times for all of us, but I want to assure you all that we will get through this, and we are all working to make sense of it together as the conditions rapidly change. One change on myself was that I've never done this before, but I had a doctor's appointment in Orange County yesterday, and they called me and told me not to come in, and we did the appointment by phone. That was a little different than just asking a bunch of questions, but it is affecting all of us. And I recognize that uncertainty about our own health and finances, as well as that of our families, can create incredible anxiety. I feel it too. But by following the practices and guidelines provided by the President, the Governor, the county, and the CDC, we are likely to remain healthy and safe throughout this difficult period. One thing I am sure of, America will get through this, and Norco is the kind of community that will weather the storm better than most. And I thank all you citizens for having the faith in the city that you do. Norco is a city where neighbors take care of one another and ensure that everybody receives the help they need. In addition, our city council, city staff, and public safety personnel are dedicated to ensuring the safety and well-being of every resident. Many community events have been canceled and many services have been reduced, but we will carry on our business and provide the most essential service for our residents, and we'll be stronger when this challenge is finally behind this. Remember, take precautions. For seniors, that means staying at home. And let me tell you, that's hard to do because I'm considered a senior citizen and my wife almost took my car keys away from me. But the challenge, we will be stronger, and look out for your neighbors. We don't know how long it will take to get back to our usual routine. It may be a couple of weeks or it could be much longer. But on the other side of this challenge lies a healthy, prosperous time for you, your families, and the city of Norco. And once again, to everybody, thank you for being patient with us, and thank you for cooperating. Thank you. Okay, we'll go with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Bash.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kevin. The invocation will be by Councilmember Robin Grunmeyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I start, I would like to read a passage from James chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Please join me in a word of prayer. Dear Lord, we pray for the city of Norco at this time, our residents, our city staff. Like our mayor has said, this is a time of great anxiety. I would ask, Lord, that during this time, we would know that we have hope because of our faith in you, and that you will lead us through this time. Lord, direct this council and our city staff to do what's best for our residents, to keep the strength and have faith that we will make it through. Lord, as our residents and as all of us go out to do the essential things that we need to do, I would ask that we would show each other kindness and we would extend grace to others that we would want extended to ourselves. Lord, we know that this community is strong. We know that the residents of this community care about each other and they care about our community. Lord, I pray that you would use this time for us to build our personal connections with each other, that we might reach out to our neighbor and have real conversations, that we might check up on people to fulfill their needs that they can't meet. Lord, please be with us. Help us all to be strong. And Lord, remind us, as you will, that even though we are facing obstacles today, that through this obstacle we will grow and we will be better for it on the other side. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Robin. We're changing our agenda up a little bit. We're going to hear item 5A at this time. Recommend ratification by city manager, proclamation of local emergency regarding novel coronavirus. City manager Andy Ocuro will be presenting. That's right.
I will make the presentation of local emergency regarding the novel great peril. And as a result of that, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, I did sign a proclamation of local emergency on Monday, and it's being brought to you to ratify. There are few reasons why we did that. First and foremost, we wanted to protect the health and safety of our employees and the public, Norco residents. The declaration of this emergency provides me with flexibility in decision making to be able to make decisions more timely in these times of emergency. It also allows city staff to seek resources as well as assistance that may be available, whether it's from the county, the state, or the federal government. It will also allow me the opportunity to procure services and equipment that are needed to respond to this emergency on a timely basis. Allows staff the opportunity to close facilities and to open them based on the directions from the county health officer the state and the federal government. So what we are asking for the City Council to do tonight is to ratify this proclamation of local emergency, and the staff will be reviewing it as conditions change, and when necessary, we will bring it back to the City Council to lift this local emergency proclamation. With that, I will take any question from the City Council.
Anybody up here have any questions or comments? Ted?
Yeah, I have one, and this is for Dana more than anything else. Dana, if we just to slight correction on page 2 of the staff report, you might want to change the title on that. Thank you.
Kevin? No. Robin?
No.
Greg? No questions. Don't have any questions. Do we have any cards?
There are no speaker cards for this item.
Okay. We'll bring it back to council here then, and what do you folks want to do?
Move to approve?
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote, do the roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Grummeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman? Yes. Councilmember Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bash?
Yes,
Mayor Hanna?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 2 is the city council consent items. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion. Prior to the motion to consider any action by the council, any public comments on any of the consent items will be heard. There will be no separate action unless members of the city council or the audience request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar. Items removed from the consent calendar will be separately considered under item number 3 of the agenda. Does anybody want to pull anything?
Motion approved.
Have a motion and a second. You can give the roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Grummeyer? Yes. Councilmember Hoffman? Yes. Councilmember Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bash?
Yes,
Mayor Hanna?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. Item 4 is public comments. This is the time when persons in the audience or online wishing to address the city council regarding matters not on the agenda may speak. Please complete the speaker card in the back of the room and present it to the city clerk so that you may be recognized. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the city council's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized items at the time such comments are made. The city council shall not discuss or take action relative to any general public comment. Do we have any cards?
Honorable Mayor, we have 8 public comments that have been received via email, electronic this evening that I'll be reading into the record.
Okay.
The first one has to do with the implementation of license plate readers from Alex Gerber. Dear Mayor and City Council, in an effort to control crime and the added criminal activity in our town, I strongly vote for the installation of these readers. We have begun to organize a neighborhood watch in our neighborhood and need this tool to help law enforcement stop and catch these criminals.
Is that a public comment, or is that a comment concerning the agenda item which has been removed?
They wanted it to be read tonight through public comment. Since the item was removed, they still wanted the city council to hear it this evening.
I guess it's up to the council, although generally speaking, we don't do that because what happens is people give testimony that isn't heard along with the agenda item. But also it doesn't hurt anything.
No.
The agenda be carried over to when that item comes back to the agenda.
In the public comment wording that's on the agenda, It states anything that is not on the agenda can be spoken on upon this. That item has been removed, is no longer on the agenda. So they're using the regular public comment time to address their concern. So it's up to council.
Do you want her to continue or hold it over till the item comes back up on the agenda?
Okay.
Yeah, we got it. Okay, that's okay with me. If everybody else is fine with it, we're fine with it. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll begin with, we have begun to organize a neighborhood watch in our neighborhood and need this tool to help law enforcement stop and catch these criminals. Our neighborhood is on the northeast side of town that may use to cut through to Riverside. We are the residents on the streets near North in California. Please help bring our city back to the people that live here and let this element know we are not putting up with this anymore. Thank you, Alex Gerber. The next comment for tonight is from Mike Williams. Dear Mayor, Council, and staff, wish that I could be there in person. We are obviously faced with something that we've never seen in this country. Decisions are being made that affect everyone. My thoughts and suggestions. It was a mistake to allow the NHA casino night to take place last Sunday. The event should have been postponed. The city of Norco should have postponed the event for the health and safety of everyone. As a member and contributor to NHA, I conveyed as much to the NHA president. She thanked me for my thoughts and willingness to convey them directly to her. Going forward, I believe we have to follow suit with many other state, county, and city governments that are putting non-essential events and facilities on lockdown. Close all bars, pubs, bowling alleys, theaters, and large gathering facilities. Restaurants and fast food establishments should be open for carry-out, drive-through, and home delivery only. Grocery stores, fuel stations, and feed stores should remain open. These directives should be in place through April 30th, 2020. The council should revisit this on a monthly basis as things seem to be changing hourly. We should be prepared for the possibility of a declaration of nationwide curfew. I know this isn't easy, however, it's clearly the most responsible move for all residents in considering where we're at right now. Whatever decision is made, I know that you will have the best interests of the residents of Norco in mind. Thank you all, and please stay in good health. Mike Williams. The next is from Jerry Schleiman. Honorable City Council, I want to address the issue of crime in my neighborhood. I reside at 5113 California Avenue. Recently had my property stolen from the horse trail in my backyard. I'm not happy about that. I'd like to support the idea of placing the license plate reading cameras at the intersection of North Drive and Crestview Drive. I do believe this will help reduce the criminal exploitation of our free and open neighborhoods by giving our police a useful tool to fight said crimes. Respectfully, Jeremy Schleiman. City Council, in regards to the implementation of automated license plate readers. I am extremely for these cameras to be installed. I live at 5133 California, and as I spoke in the last City Council meeting, crime seems to be peaking in our neighborhood. I am working with Sheriff Elia, who has been nothing short of amazing in helping our neighborhood. I am an officer, and these cameras are installed in most of our projects. They are great in solving crimes and assisting in investigations. With my house being right over the hill from Riverside, we get all kinds of people passing through. These cameras do not violate any amendment. In the last meeting, I heard Fourth Amendment, unlawful search and seizure. How exactly? These cameras capture license plates. I have seen photos these cameras take, and they do not have a picture of drivers or passengers, just plates. When you're out in public, there is no expectation of privacy and can be videoed. Example, security cameras everywhere. They do not restrict movement, nor do they violate any privacy law. They only alert if the vehicle has an alert, missing, stolen, used in a crime, which is exactly why I want sheriffs in my area to be aware of when they come into our area. It was also brought up in the last meeting that why spend the money when these criminals don't get the time. I personally don't care what the punishment is as long as they are hauled away from my neighborhood in a black and white. We're all concerned with the court system nowadays, but that does not mean we should not do anything our power to make our community safe and give our sheriffs the best tools to do it. Bonnie Slager. Mayor Hanna and council members, I would like to thank you for letting us put on our annual casino night this past Saturday evening. City staff was there to make sure we stayed in compliance with the rules as of Saturday. And I want you to know that Patty Ireland went above and beyond to see that we did. Thank you, Brian, for keeping in contact with me and letting me know of changes. Last week, the changes were hourly, I think. We had about 100 people there, which was small, but a very happy group. I received many thank yous from guests that our event was not canceled. Although the group was small, they were very generous, and I think we raised enough money to give scholarships this coming May. Again, thank you, and I am staying home until the virus threat has passed. Bonnie Slager. Third and Hamner project from Dan Luce. I strongly advise you to reconsider this project. There is already too much traffic at that intersection. The hotel is way too high, and I thought Norco wasn't to have apartment housing. As to half-acre lots, it would be a little hard to have a half-acre lots with apartments. We moved here 52 years to be in a semi-rural area. You are ruining that. Dan and Judy Luce. Closing facilities and transportation from Benita Millard. We must as a community be available to our senior community and disabled and help them with medical needs and food. And that's all she said. This is Tim Hauser. ALPR cameras would be an increase in public safety. I'm all for it. Arlington, Crestview, and Detroit Hamner would be great locations at a minimum. And Diamond Ranch, please accept this as confirmation that we wholeheartedly support license plate camera readers for the city of Norco. We have great law enforcement team for Norco, but they need these tools to deter crime and catch people that commit crimes in Norco. Please keep Norco safe and vote to fully fund this important law enforcement tool. Thank you, Ron and Karen Roper. I'm going to look just to make sure I haven't received anything else. I do have from Corrine Holder for open comments. I just want to thank the city staff and council members for their hard work during this constantly changing crisis. The Parks Department has been in constant motion, and I know they are not alone in their efforts. I appreciate the changes to tonight's agenda, postponing the ALPR discussion and the live stream option. I have commented recently on our sales tax and how well the city is doing and how exciting it is to get streets repaired and projects completed. And I hope we can continue with projects already approved in the budget. We need to be cautious on new projects and expenditures in the next few months until the economy gets back on track. However, we are very fortunate due to hard work since the recession that the city has been prudent and increased its reserve budget that should get us through the next few months and beyond. Thank you and stay healthy, Corinne Holder. We have no further comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 5 is discussion items. Order of presentation for discussion items, staff report presentation, council questions of staff, public speakers in favor, against, neutral, council discussion and action. So our item is the Sheriff's Department annual report. Lieutenant?
All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, staff. So I'm pleased to give you some good news tonight in light of the COVID-19 situation. We're here to present our Sheriff's Department annual report for 2019. As you know, our Riverside County Sheriff's Department has provided law enforcement services to the city of Norco, being the first contract city with the Sheriff's Department in 1964. So I've been serving as your police chief since January of 2019, and we have a great group of deputies and non-civilian staff that service our community. So just to give you a brief overview of your Norco Sheriff's Office, you have myself as serving as your police chief. You have a executive secretary and a part-time lobby CSO that answers questions and phone calls at the front lobby Monday through Thursday from 10 to 2. You have 2 sergeants that are assigned that cover full 7 days of supervision. Your patrol operations is staffed 24/7. with 60 patrol hours a day, which is 10 deputy sheriffs. Each day you have a total of 5 deputy sheriffs on patrol during that given shift, or I'm sorry, given that 24 hours. In 2019, you had 1 dedicated traffic deputy sheriff. You had 2 special enforcement team deputy sheriffs. You had 3 non-sworn community service officers who did a significant amount of good work for us. Something a little visual is our daily staffing levels. What you'll see is our patrol, our CSO, set, traffic, myself, and your 2 sergeants for a 7-day full week coverage. If you notice, our set, traffic, their days and hours will vary. So we just pit them directly in the middle of the week. But primarily whenever we have a need or a cause for them to expand out, we do so. So their schedule's ever changing. So at certain peak days, you can see that we can have over almost 12, 13 staff members a day out on the streets. So just a little bit more in depth about your Norco Sheriff's Office. You have 8 field training officers. So these are experienced deputy sheriffs that train new recruits that come in through the Hoopa Valley Station. So at any given time, you can have 8 additional deputy sheriffs on the street that are going through the field training program. They're not assigned to Norco, they're just assigned with the field training officer going through the training process. So that's also good because that's an extra deputy sheriff that we're getting on the street. In total, with your sheriff's department, you have over 230 years of service. A very, very vast amount of service with your sheriff's department. Logistically, we have 18 sheriff's units. Those are black and white units. You have 3 unmarked vehicles, 1 mobile command post, 2 off-road Polaris vehicles, 2 bicycles, and then 3 Norco Citizen Patrol vehicles. So quite a large fleet for this size of operation. Also, all our staff members are mobile field force trained, and we have up-to-date mobile field force equipment at the grips of our fingers. We have less lethal munitions. This is something that we started in 2019 with mobile field force and going back to 2017 with less lethal options for our staff. So, in 2019, we handled 9,073 calls for service. As you can see, this is a 5% decrease over 2018 with 9,556 calls for service. Our average response times reduced by 12.3%, which is good news. These response times are measured in basically our priority 1s through 4. So you have priority 1, 2, 3s, and 4 calls. They take the total amount of calls, the total amount of time, and they come up with an average. So it's not a reflection of what the actual time is that the deputy is taking to get to those priority calls. 1 and 2s are your highest priority calls. Those are your significant calls where the deputy needs an immediate response. 3s and 4s are your lower priority calls. Those can be deputy sheriffs or community service officers that can handle those calls. So you can see in 2019, the average response time was 28 minutes and 1 second. And this was significantly down from 2018's average of 31.96. So the deputies definitely got quicker responses. So let's look at our overall crime statistics. As you know, our Part 1 crimes are reported to the FBI, and they are overall in 2019 decreased by 2.7%, with a total of 718 crimes that were reported. In 2018, you had 738, so a reduction in reportable crimes. Property crimes decreased. In 2019, you had 669. 2018, you had 675. Violent crime, this is a huge statistic that we decreased at 22.2%. And that you had 49 reportable in 2019 compared to 63 reported in 2018. This next slide, you can see the 5-year overview of the crime been reported through the Uniform Crime Report of the FBI. As you can see, in 2015 all the way to 2019, there was a small spike, but we're starting to trend back down, which is excellent, and that all shows the hard work that your deputies are doing out there. And why is your crime decreasing? 2019, we set a goal of increased proactivity. Our deputies conducted their own follow-up on their cases. Rather than taking the report and handing it off to an investigator or someone else outside the Norco station, they conducted their own investigations. So that led to quicker closures and more arrests. Because they were handling it, they took ownership in those cases, and that's what caused that quicker closure and the arrests to go up. As you can see, our arrests total in 2019 were 410, a 40% increase from 2018. And that is all due to the deputies being proactive. It doesn't mean that we have more crime in Norco, it just means that they're being more proactive, stopping the crime before it occurs. So. Next, we'll go through our traffic overview. In 2019, we had Office of Traffic Safety funding and city-funded traffic operations conducted. It included 36 DUI saturation patrols and safety checkpoints. During that time, we had 48 persons arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. As well, we did crosswalk, distracted driving, and some extra school enforcement in 2019. In 2019, you'll see that traffic citations increased 67.4%, with a total of 2,954 written in 2019 compared to 1,764 written in 2018. Parking citations also increased with 18.1%. 2019, our staff wrote 612 parking citations compared to 518 in 2018. So that dedicated traffic deputy did make a huge difference, as you can see, by adding them in late 2018. Our continuing in our traffic statistics, our non-injury traffic collisions reduced by 11.5%, with 557 reported in 2019, 630 in 2018. Our non-injury hit and run collisions, this is where if you get in a collision, the next party takes off, they actually increased. In 2019, we had 144 compared to 86 in 2018. Our injury traffic collisions, this is a very important statistic for us. They decreased 29.4%. And the reason why they decrease is because of that dedicated traffic officer providing that proactive enforcement by stopping violators before they can cause an injury collision. 48 reported in 2019, 68 reported in 2018. Our fatal traffic collisions remain at 1 compared to the previous year. Here you'll see the 5-year overview of our Norco traffic statistics. You can see that they've kind of just trended around the same amount. But the biggest number that I look at is the injury traffic collisions. Those are reducing, and that is largely in part to your dedicated traffic officer. So in 2019, we took a big approach to community outreach. We wanted the community to feel comfortable with their Norco Sheriff's Department, get to know them on a first name basis, and get to know what we do and how we do and conduct business. So we held 4 community outreach programs. Most of you are familiar with. We started off with Pizza in the Park, kind of warmed everybody up, and then we decided to think outside the box a little bit further and go with the trail ride. That trail ride was actually very successful, and we're planning on several more this year in 2020. Another event that we were didn't expect to be so successful was the trunk or treat. I've never seen so much candy run out, but we probably went through, I think the numbers were about 6,000 to 7,000 pieces of candy, and that was a great event. Great turnout by the community, getting multi-generational members of this community together, and it was just a great feel. Then we opened up our sheriff's station. In late 2019, we had an open house, allowed the public to us, let them see what they have, what we have to offer. Let them see the equipment, let them see the facility. A lot of people didn't even know that we were here on site. So it was great for them to go through the facility and just get to know their department as well as the members of the department. And this is good because it builds the confidence with the staff, because the staff are the ones working so hard every day with the community, and it builds that partnership. So when they're driving around town, they can, the members of the community wave or say hi to them. They know who they're talking to, and they're not afraid to go up and ask questions, or if they have problems, they can go to that deputy and get those problems resolved. So that was a huge impact that we saw in 2019. Our volunteer forces, as you know, volunteerism in the city is huge, especially for the Sheriff's Department. We rely on our Norco Citizens Patrol group significantly. We utilize them for call-outs if it's a major traffic collision, or if it's a down power line, down tree because of Mother Nature. These members are quick to respond and assist with road closures to free up your staff so they can handle other priority calls. In 2019, we tried to ramp up our recruiting efforts. We gained 2 members, so we have a total of 18 members now, and a significant amount of hours were donated. 5,153 hours were donated by these 18 members. Great group, have a lot of pride in the city and helping us combat criminal activity. Something that one of my priorities was bringing in a department chaplain for Norco, and this is a huge asset not only for the department as a resource, but also for the community. And he's a 24/7 chaplain, so if we need him, he's a phone call away. We recruited within the community, and Phil Wozniak from Grace Fellowship expressed a lot of interest in it, and we put him through the Chaplains Academy, and he successfully graduated and has been part of our group since in 2019. I think you're all familiar with Phil. He's a great, outstanding member of this community. Neighborhood Watch was another priority that we wanted to revitalize. Neighborhood Watch kind of went wayside and got buried under some books and some dust, and so we increased our efforts of increasing Neighborhood Watch and the benefits that it has for the citizens and the community. In 2019, we increased it by 2 groups, and we just continue to grow. This year already, we've seen 3 groups start since the beginning of the year. So the amount of people that want to get involved, it speaks volumes of how committed this community is to helping out the Sheriff's Department. So I kind of touched on 2020 and what our goals are and what we've done so far. As you know, in mid-year budget adjustments in March, we've added the 1 additional dedicated traffic deputy. So you now have 2 dedicated traffic deputies with the full 7 days of coverage, and already they're making a huge impact. Just in the last few weeks that they've been deployed. Some of the goals and objectives that we've set for ourselves internally are to continue with our increased proactive policing. We want our deputies to continue to follow up with their cases and provide quick case closure. Another thing that we're looking at is our career development with training. So we want our deputies to not only develop an expertise, but we want them to feel confident with going out and doing the job that we're asking them to do. Also in 2020, we're looking at continuing with our community outreach. We're going to expand our programs a little bit outside the box again we're just going to keep opening up that box and come up with some new programs. Obviously, Trunk or Treat's going to be, I think, an annual thing that we're going to continue. We still have our trail rides that we're planning. We're planning one for April, but that's been postponed with the current situation that we're in. But we're also looking at taco night, and I think bowling night was another one that we came up with. So just something to bring the community together and get to know the Sheriff's Department. Also, we're continuing with our volunteer recruitment. We're still looking at building that Explorer program here in Norco, and I've gotten a lot of interest since last month. So hopefully in the next few months, maybe towards summertime now, that we'll probably get that Explorer program up and running. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor, for questions.
Thank you, Lieutenant. That's a great report. Ted, we'll start down there with you.
Yeah, good report, Lieutenant. I'm proud of the guys that work here at the Norco station. Really take to heart, do a good job for the community. Nothing but good positive feedback. I do have a couple of questions, and what concerns me is the hit and run increases. I'm wondering if the increase is actual number of increases, or if it's because we have a dedicated traffic officer now and it gives them people to report it. As before, they probably let it. Can you answer that?
I think what I've seen personally is a lot of our hit and runs are related to road rage. It begins with a road rage incident. One of the parties gets hit, pulls over, does the right thing, but the other party takes off. That's what we primarily found with that. As far as the traffic deputy, I think it does help that they are getting reported. I mean, our CSOs do take a majority of the collisions, so that does help as well. But primarily, I think it's the road rage incidents that are
just carrying on. I know you don't have anything compared for 2018 because we didn't have the full timers, so that's why I'm just wondering. It's because we have an officer that we're getting it more documented.
Yes, and it also goes back to, we also see a lot of city property damage with our hit and runs, and a lot of those are reported as well.
Okay.
That number.
And looking at your the 2019 FBI UCR report that you put in with the staff, I noticed December looks like we're taking a hit. Is that porch pirates?
Yes. So
I hope you guys have a plan for porch pirates in December.
Yeah, it was quite frustrating throughout the month of December because of the porch pirates, and we put out a lot of awareness, and we went to a few of our neighborhood watch groups to put out the word. But these thieves got creative. They were wearing the actual delivery uniforms of most of the companies that were delivering out there, but they were still stealing in broad daylight with cameras. So this year we do have a plan in place.
Okay.
Primarily, I don't want to expose too much information, but our partners with the major retailers and the major delivery services want to join forces with us, and I'll leave it at that.
No, that's good. It's a statewide program. It's a county. I saw it on there and I go, now is the time. Well, January was the time. Let's figure out what we're going to do. And then on a personal note, I want to thank Phil Wozniak for coming out during the fire, the man fire. He was right up there with people. He was consoling people that had their horses up there. Great. I mean, he does a great job in everything he does, so I appreciate that. And and we're looking forward to the Explore program. Hey, if we do Day of Cowboy, you guys got to have a team out there, okay?
I've been.
Them fire guys are kicking your butt, okay?
No, I it's just a matter of getting the word out and spreading the word amongst the teens. We're looking for teens 14 to 21 that are interested in a law enforcement career, and it's a gateway. It's a gateway into this field, and it helps them. If they're not sure, it answers those questions for them. So, it's a great experience. They get to be exposed to a lot of cool stuff and a lot of training that we're happy to provide them.
Kevin?
Thank you. Very good report. Appreciate it and appreciate all you guys do. I was talking to my insurance agent today, every day, and she said that there's a lot more theft right now, and they're having a lot of problems, a lot of people calling. Are you seeing that, or?
No, in each month our crime analyst group does a great job with the UCR numbers. Before, we always had to wait till the end of the year to get the UCR numbers. Now we get them monthly. And I've been tracking it through March now, and our actual numbers have gone down.
But with this new coronavirus?
So as we've seen, everything's been stable, and we're asking that the public remain calm. You know, we don't know what to expect, and we hope that people know that, you know, this is going to end, you know, not to worry. So we haven't seen any upkeep or uptick in that crime area for thefts. We have deployed extra deputies around our shopping centers and our markets to show that presence so people feel secure, not only when they go in the store and leave their car, if they forget to lock their car, but know that we're there for them. The good thing about Neighborhood Watch is that we're able to educate our community about theft. The biggest thing is a lot of people just forget or think it's okay to leave items in their car or leave items unsecure, and so it's just a matter of education. That was the whole goal in Neighborhood Watch, was to educate them to the point where they're aware, they share the word, and it helps bring down it deters thieves, basically, from coming in and stealing.
And then the other question I'd heard the deputies closed down a place last night, or was that true?
No, and I think what you're referring to, and I almost got to it, no, we were just checking around at our local establishments to make sure that, you know, the order provided by the Riverside County Public Health Officer was, it was an educational part on our part. As part of that
I'm not criticizing.
Yeah, no, as we don't shut down places. It's more of an educational suggestion, not a suggestion, but this is the law. You choose to follow it or not, and if you don't, these are the consequences, just like with any other law.
And then just one other question. I watched somebody selling stuff out of the back of their truck today, exchanging money. Is that illegal? Do they have to have a business license, or?
Absolutely, they definitely need a business license, but we also got to consider the price gouging.
Right.
You know, and that's something that is that property stolen, has been reported stolen. You know, there's a lot of circumstances regarding, you know, trunk sales out of parking lots. So definitely reportable.
Well, it was stupid me. I wish I'd videoed it, given the person who it was. So.
Yeah, we just don't, and that's something we just, you know, there. And I've visited all our major retailers around town this week, and there is enough to go around for months. And just to ease people's concerns, you know, just be patient. You know, there's plenty to go around. And don't fall for the trunk deals, because you'll be able to buy it in store. So we don't want our residents to be victims of price gouging or fraud or anything like that in these times. Just continue the business that you're doing.
Well, I'm real proud of you. I'm real proud of this department. I'm real proud of our substation, and I really appreciate the work you're doing. I always think we have the best deputies out of the entire department. The rest of they figure all the wannabes go to the other cities. I'm just kidding. But no, we really do appreciate you. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I'll give you something to do tomorrow. You can get your video camera out and drive around.
I'm going to be there.
Robin?
Lieutenant, I would just like to say thank you. Great report. I'm happy to see that the numbers, for the most part, are going down. And the only recommendation that I would have from my perspective is, as you're doing these community outreaches, if maybe we could educate our residents that in fact in Norco our numbers are going down, that you are extremely safe, that we have deputies that work really, really hard and are very skilled at their job. And I think we have several instances that prove that this year with the robberies and how quickly those were solved and things like that. And so I think every once in a while, you and your deputy should probably pat yourself on the back and let residents know that you guys are doing an excellent job, and this is a very safe community to work in. So thank you very much for all you do and for the work of the deputies. It's very much appreciated.
And with that, when we do our neighborhood watch meetings, I usually like to go to the first meeting and set up the group, and I give them primarily what the presentation you got tonight is. It's a brief overview of their services that we provide, how many and how often, and also a brief overview of the crime in their area and overall in the city. Because initially everybody thinks there's so much crime, but really, as a victim, you think because you've been a victim of crime that there's so much crime. In reality, that we're really impacting what's going on as a totality in the city. And we really, our deputies take to heart if someone's victimized. I mean, we don't like to see people come into the city and steal from our residents. And so our deputies take that to heart, and they really want to make an impact with that.
Greg?
Thank you, Mayor. Lieutenant, good report. Just one question that got me thinking was with the increase in traffic citations with having the one dedicated officer, and now that we will have 7-day-a-week coverage, I'm assuming, with an additional traffic officer, that would there be a nexus that we could possibly see a better percentage of decrease in property crimes? That will this maybe free up a patrol deputy from having to deal with traffic? Or I guess I'm looking, is there going to be a nexus other than just additional traffic citations?
Yes, and the great part is they're available. So if there's a call that's and the other deputies are tied up on it, they can also respond and mitigate the situation until the other deputies arrive. So it's a huge benefit having them out there on the streets. Yes, it does make an impact on crime, because the more presence, the less likely someone's going to commit that crime, especially in front of the deputies. So having them out there, because they focus on multiple areas in the city throughout the day. They don't just sit in one area all day long. They tend to move throughout the city. So doing that and augmenting what we already have in patrol is just a huge asset. As well as you have your two set deputies out there as well, your CSOs, myself, the two sergeants. So you have a huge presence on a daily basis, and that's our goal, is to show that we have a huge presence in the city and we take things very seriously. So that definitely helps with the traffic officers.
So hopefully next year's annual report, we see a larger percentage decrease in property crimes.
I'm hoping.
With that.
I'm hoping.
But along with what you're saying, back in the day, and I don't know if we'll ever get back to that point, was that for people coming to Norco, it was like you knew better than to speed in town, that you would get a ticket. And one sense, I think those days are gone, but how do we get back to that, just like you were making that statement of fact, that hey, we have a lot of deputies out there, don't come onto our property, don't speed through our town, and just keep drilling that point home.
Right.
And I appreciate you taking that as a goal. Now, Also, if I may, Mayor, on a personal note, that since Councilman Hoffman mentioned Day of the Cowboy, that, and to go along with your community outreach, that during the Day of the Cowboy, when we have the cow chip, that with myself, with Councilman Bash and Andy, we are so glad to have a major league arm on our team now. So, and I think we should. So,
Right.
I think the community would like to know that we have a major league ringer on our team now.
Yeah, I
appreciate
I
you.
had some tough
Thank you.
competition with Councilmember Grunmeyer.
That was cold. That was really cold.
Good report, Lieutenant. Thank you.
Yeah, Lieutenant, thanks for the report. That was very good, very interesting. And with the new traffic officer, I noticed last week and the week before that they had a lot of cars pulled over just about every day, writing tickets and everything. That's good to see. And one question, and it's not pertaining to last year's report, but the fire over here. How many extra officers came in that day and helped? Because I noticed when Ted and I went over to the command post to see you guys, there was lots of deputies around over there in that area. So
that goal, and I'm sure you're all familiar. That's the benefit of contracting with the Sheriff's Department, is you have resources here within a matter of minutes, seconds. So in regards to that fire, we had deputies from the Hooper Valley Station, in addition to our Norco station. I think we came up with 25 total that we had. And we were sending deputies away just because we didn't want to, we had pretty much what we needed done and contained. So
that was good to see, and a brave bunch of people, because a lot of the people weren't paying any attention to them, nearly running over them and everything, but they held their ground pretty good. But we appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you very much. And this is a receiving file. We don't.
I need a motion. I still need a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Councilmember Grubmeyer? Yes. Councilmember Hoffman? Yes. Councilmember Newton? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Bash? Mayor Hanna?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
This brings us up to the City Council, City Manager, Staff Communications. Kevin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I really wanted to thank Brian. Brian has been really, really helpful, and I kind of wanted to make a suggestion that maybe right now, Brian was giving me a lot of information that we didn't have, but navigating, 24 employees, our business is shut down and we're not alone. And Brian just fed me so much information, and I'm wondering if somehow we can communicate with our Chamber of Commerce and somehow get that information out. What he sends me, I send to everybody. Even Corona, they don't know this stuff, and I think people need to know it. There's Cowgirl Cafe shut down. People are shutting down, and there's no income coming into them. And I think that if we could figure out a way to communicate that, I think it'd be very, very helpful. Some of the stuff Brian turned me on to, it can be a lifesaver. We're lucky we have a margin, but most businesses they're going week to week, every 2 weeks, and some of the stuff that's coming on online is really good, Brian. So if there's some way we can put it online, or we can, I don't know how we can do it, but somehow direct people to a page where they go, whoa, there's this loan, or there's this agency that can help me, something like that. I think that would be really helpful. That's all I have. Thank you.
Ted?
I'm going to reiterate what Kevin said. Brian, he's helped us out with the Veterans Committee. We had some events coming up that they've all had to be canceled or modified. We probably will not be doing a memorial service on Memorial Day, but those things, we're going to get by, and we're going to find out, we're going to get back to normal sometime or another. So just bear with us and everything, and that's what you have to do. And I want to thank Andy and your staff. Kelly, I know you're keeping us apprised on the Facebook and the webpage and 2 emails. That's the whole thing. I sit down and I listen to the president's briefing whenever I can in the morning, and it's scary. And luckily, the vice president's in charge of that. He's got a good bunch of people and good doctors behind him. But we got to listen to him, as well as even the governor up there is trying his darndest to make sure that we get through this. And like Kevin said, there are all kinds of things coming down to the Small Business Administration, to the state, and through the feds to ease it. It's not going to be easy, but it's like my report from my New York life insurance guy today in the company, and he says, we've been doing business for almost over 200 years, and in that 200 years, we survived 2 world wars. We survived the Spanish flu. We survived all these pandemics in the past, and they're still doing good. So don't get crazy with your stock market. These things will pass. It will correct itself. Just have faith. Thank you.
Andy?
Yes, responding to what Councilmember Bash said with respect to putting out information out there, I do want to let our residents know that even though City Hall is closed to the public, city staff is still working and responding to the needs of the residents. I encourage everyone to be patient. There is a lot of information we're putting out with our communications manager, Kelly. I think we have both on Facebook as well as on the city website, dedicated page to provide information regarding all the various orders that are coming from the public health officer, the state, as well as CDC. So all of this information is available through our website. And information we find relevant also for business entities here in the city, we have been sharing it with the chamber. In fact, yesterday there was a form that we were able to find regarding how businesses can track the impact of this COVID-19 with respect to their business, and we passed that information on to the chamber. We have passed information on to them regarding small business administration loan availability. And today, actually, there was a suggestion. Someone sent out an email in which I was copied. I believe Councilmember Newton was copied regarding what the city of Fontana is doing with respect to listing out those restaurants in their city that are open, where they open mean they're providing takeout, they are providing delivery services, or where their drive-through windows are open. We are in the early stages of trying to collect that information for the city of Norco, and hopefully we will be able to provide similar information to our residents in collaboration with the Norco Chamber. Again, I would say to the city council, be patient with staff. There's a lot that is going on, and a lot of it associated with work as well as anxiety of people taking care of their families. But city staff is, we're still working mostly as usual and providing essential services to our residents.
John? Let's see, Kelly? Brian?
Just echo what Andy said. Staff are working really hard to make sure residents are taken care of, and that we are. And Kelly's doing a great job of messaging this information out to our community. One nice thing about our team here in Norco is that we are constantly communicating to each other and keeping each other abreast. And often we'll sit in a meeting with social separation to make sure we are on tune with what the county is feeding us as well, so we can be accurate in the messaging that we get. So it's a real team effort, and Andy's pulled us all together to make sure that the team continues to work really well together. And I have Rogers communicating with the chamber on the business stuff. One thing about Norco is that the people here in Norco are very resilient. And I think as a community, we will get through this, and we will be better for it. And So we will, and as a team here from City Hall and from our staff in the field, we're going to continue to work very hard to make sure that our residents are taken care of.
Thank you. Chad? Steve? Mark? Dana?
I just want to say thank you to the council for being so patient with me with this week, with all the revised agendas, locations being modified, just everything out of the norm. I know the time I've been in the city clerk world, I've never encountered anything like this. I don't think any of my partners that have been in the city clerk world over 30 years used to see that our listserv, the questions that are going back and forth, the support that we have for each other to bring the best city council that we can to you and to our community, making sure that we're the most transparent. I want to say thank you to Matt and Mark for making sure that we were live streaming, that we are meeting all the standards that are coming down from the governor, and how quickly they are changing. As you see the emails that I've been sending you the past few days, it's hour to hour, we're doing this, now we're doing this. So thank you so much for being patient and understanding all the changes and how rapidly they are, and all your support you have for us and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg?
Thank you, Mayor. Just on the business side of things with the Chino Basin desalter and where we are right now with water deliveries and the efforts that we're going through there, that right now there's the precautions that are being taken. No water deliveries will be affected, and so that, rest assured, that tap water still works. And also, I'd like to compliment all of staff for all the hard work that they've done here in the last few weeks, and as always, but also to the residents that feel free to reach out to all of us because we're here for you also. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Robin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. The first one, free meals are being provided to students 18 and under with Corona Norco Unified School District. Norco High School was just added as a food site today. There were over 200 vehicles that went through, or 200 meals, I'm sorry, that were passed out at Norco High School today. So Monday through Friday between 11 and 12, you can drive through at the parent pickup lane at Norco High School and pick up food for every child 18 and under in the vehicle. So it doesn't matter if you're on free and reduced lunch or not. Anybody that meets that age requirement can go and get food. Also, during that time, there are enrichment packets available for students. So parents, if you need help with your children, you want some academic activities for them to do, those enrichment packets are also available at the high school during the meal pickup window. I would also tell you, as a member or an educator in the community of Norco, that if you know a teacher or you need help, please reach out to the teachers that are here in the community of Norco. I know that they would be more than happy to help. There's a lot of different ways that we can reach out to our students at this time. They have the technology skills to be able to learn in other ways other than the traditional classroom. So please feel free to reach out to any educators that you know. We're not happy about the current situation and being apart from our students for this extended period of time, just the same as I'm sure in a few days the students will be in that same place where, we miss our traditional schedule. We miss that time and that structure just as much as the students do. So please note that we're here for them. A couple of other notes. Number one, thank you to the city staff. Like everybody said, things are changing literally hour by hour, and the ability of staff to adjust and accommodate and make everything work is greatly appreciated. And it's above and beyond just the normal stress that most of us have in our day-to-day lives. So thank you to city staff. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's been mentioned at least once, if you are still able and you're still getting a regular paycheck, please try and keep your same spending habits so that it will help to keep the economy hopefully level. So that means if you typically go out to lunch or you typically go out to dinner, however many times a week that is, please try and maintain that and go and support our local eateries that are staying open for us to have carry out and those types of things. It's going to help carry them through this time. So I know there might be a tendency to kind of hold on to our money during this time, but if your paychecks are still regular, please try and support those local businesses and help them out during this time, because it's going to mean a lot to them, and it's going to help sustain people during this time. So if you're able, please think about doing that and trying to keep our local businesses open. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank staff and everybody for keeping things at a calm up here at the City Hall and trying to protect our workers and our residents and everything. And I want to note that Dana was talking about sending out emails quite regularly because of everything changing several times a day. I was a board member for RTA, the buses, and they're doing the same thing. We get several emails every day from them where they're constantly having to change their schedules and everything so the people in the audience in the city that's watching this, if you depend on RTA and the buses and everything, you might go online and check with their schedule, or you might call their headquarters over there and get their updates on the bus schedules. I know this week they did change quite a few routes around, and one of them early in the week was Route 3, the one that comes from Eastvale to Norco to Corona and back. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, real quick, because I think we as a city need to congratulate Monica Green as she was selected to be by the Riverside Community College District. She is the new president for Norco College. So if we can send her congratulations or a note, I'd appreciate it.
Congratulations. We can get her a note out, right? All right, thank you. With that, we're adjourned.